you can start with the session, ma'am.
I can start with the session. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. This is a completely okay. I don't know if all of you. Right. Who is from ISERT who is talking to me? Can I know your name, please?
My name is Vinod.
Vinod. Okay. Vinod, what do you see on the screen?
I'm able to see your PowerPoint presentation, ma'am.
You can see my PowerPoint. Okay. Right. Great. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Vinod. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Apitha Bhatt. I have been asked to come in for a program which will help you understand more about your personality, which is so you. Well, let me give you a little bit of a background for before we start. Again, my name is Apitha Bhatt. I have about 16 years of experience. All of these 16 years comes from the human resource background. I have been in the learning and development space for the last 12 and a half years. During that particular tenure, I have been able to certify myself on various skills. And one skill that I have certified myself on, or one particular assessment skill that I have certified myself on, is personality at work. And this, I'm just going to switch that off. Personality at work is a certification that I've gone through, and it helps me identify personalities who could possibly make successful performers or successful leaders in the role that they have been given. And if your personality is well suited for that particular role, I would make recommendations. If the person is better to probably perform another role, I make recommendations. So I consult with organizations in identifying the perfect personality for the role. So that is where my contribution today will be from, right? I understand all of you are from college and you are either in your third year or about to pass out, graduate, sorry, about to graduate and move on to the corporate world. Well, then you will need and want to understand how your personality really is going to fetch you the right kind of a job. What is the career that you would like to move with? Vinod, I had just one question. Do all of the participants here have access to talking? Can they unmute themselves and speak, or can they chat with me? What is it that they can do?
I will allow them to unmute, and also they can chat with you.
Okay. All right. That'll be great, because then if you have questions, people, you should be able to ask me. It's a good session to probably put out your questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer. Right. So now, while I said what I said, but also I'm going to introduce myself as ENFP. Okay, that basically is my trait combination. Does that make sense to you? 4 letters, ENFP. Does that make any sense to you? Yeah, anyone, please. Whoever wants to speak up can actually unmute themselves and speak to me. I'd like to hear you guys. Apart from my name, apart from the fact that, I have 16 years of experience, apart from that, I consult with organization, there's a small little information that I'd like to give you. I am an ENFP. What do you understand by this 4-letter combination? Anyone? While I wait for your answer, I'm going to sip into my tea. Yeah, Anand, you wanted to answer? Go ahead. Any wacky answer is also permitted. Don't worry. I'm good with wacky answers. I don't know if I can see your chat. Vinod, is there a permission for me to see the chat?
Yes, ma'am. You can just click on the chat button and you will see the messages from the students.
Okay, wait. Do I have some chat? No, I don't have any chat. I'd like to see at least a chat on it. Okay, right. All right. You still seem to be in the Sunday morning situation, which I completely agree with. I was that for at least the last just a half an hour before. So I completely agree. Uh, Hi, Vijay Lakshmi seems to be trying the video. Okay. All right. ENFP is a trait combination. Now, the reason I mentioned ENFP is that you have 16 such combinations. Each of these combinations are basically a personality trait combination, a combination. Okay, employer, manager, and supervisor personnel. Okay, my goodness, no. Okay, someone by name Joshi gave me an answer which is perfect. He said extrovert, intuitive, feeling, and perceiving. And that's a good job on the Google search, Bikram. Very good job on that. Well done there. Yes, so it is the four traits that make a personality. Now, this is called as Myers-Briggs trait indicator. Right, sorry, someone wants to talk. You can talk. Anyone can unmute themselves and talk to me. So don't worry about it. Right? So these 16 combinations basically talk about how your personality will bloom. What exactly is it that you exhibit of your personality? What do you show of your personality? What you show of the personality, which can be used in your career. What do you kind of prefer in terms of career? What are your preferences, as your trait would probably incline you towards one of them? Now, I'm going to ask you a very straight question. I want you guys to answer me. Even on the chat is okay with me. Okay. But I want all of you to try and attempt. Okay. How many of you recognize yourself as someone who is emotional? Put on the chat yes if you are emotional, a no if you're not emotional. Okay, let me make that more easier. How many of you cry when you see a movie? Yes if you do, no if you don't. Go on, I'd like to see the chat. Okay, mildly emotional sometimes. Okay, okay, a little bit. Yes, okay, yes, both. Acha. Interesting. Yes, sometimes. Yes. Okay, a lot of that. Sometimes, okay, the maybes, I like the maybes. Okay. All right. Very interesting. So when you take, when you say you are emotional, okay, that's one trait, that's one character. Now, that doesn't define you, that describes you. So there are different things, there is a difference between definition and description, okay? Definition, okay, I might be I might be sounding different when it comes to your scientific thought. Don't put science in here. It is scientific though. But when I say definition, it kind of is a judgment and puts you in a box. When I say descriptive, it gives you a little open window of saying I'm this, but I'm this also, right? Description does not limit your trait to kind of bloom, but definition does confine you to what is being defined. So when I say trait, and when some of you call yourselves emotional, doesn't mean that, okay, and that's why I think most of you said sometimes, it doesn't define you to be an emotional person. Doesn't mean that you're in your words, a crybaby, right? But there is a lot to do with that emotional person. Okay, people who are emotional, people who are extremely good with emotions or identifying with emotions, um, you are exceptionally good as people managers, right? You will grow to become great people managers. Now, people who do not showcase emotion doesn't mean that you're bad with people. What it means is that you definitely have a challenge with handling more people. You could do really well with a few, but you may not be able to handle a large number. While people who are good with emotions are good with few and large, right? So there is a lot of importance that you have to give to each of your traits. So today we're going to try and understand more about you, more about what is it that describes you, not defines you. Okay, now I'm going to ask you some more questions, and I need you to answer like you did right now, and thank you so much for doing that, like you just did. Some more such answers for the questions that I'm going to put up. Okay, how many of you think that, okay, I'm going to give you a situation, and I want you to reply. How many of you walk into a shop to buy something and you're very quick at it? Like, you go, you know what you want to pick, you pick it up, you go to the cash counter, pay, and you're out in like 10 minutes. How many of you can do shopping in 10 minutes? While you answer that, I'm going to sip my tea. It's getting cold. How many of you, 10 minutes of shopping? Okay, Likit says, no way, acha. Okay, I'm a swift shopper. Okay, no for Arul. Okay. All right, no. Okay, Divishri says no. Tanuja says no. Okay. All right. Okay. Puneet says yes. Okay, Puneet. All right, great. Okay. All right, am I getting only these many answers? Come on. So many of you are here. So yeah, me. What do you mean by me, Girish? Do you say you do, you do not? Okay, maybe. Okay, Spurti says yes. Suraksha is saying no. Rohini, sometime. Preeti says impossible. Acha. You do, Girish? Okay, okay. So again, it's a trait, right? Again, it's a very descriptive thing about you. You walk into, I also face this situation. What do you mean by that, Samarth? That you walk in and pick up and you're out in 10 minutes? Or you find it difficult to get out in 10 minutes? Samarth?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you do that in 10 minutes, or you do not do it in 10 minutes?
Yes, yes, I do this 10 minutes situation. It is very emergency situation that time. I was go and buy 10 minutes this time, and before the bus is arrival time was so fast this because this situation was held this time.
Right, right. Otherwise, if you say, let's say this was a situation where you had to do it, where you had to go in hurry and do it, but
Yes,
on a normal day, how much time do you take, Samarth?
uh, only half an hour, 45 minutes. That's
Okay, 45 minutes to half an hour. Okay, look at, yeah, there could be a possibility, right? Like, let's say, for example, I'm going for a very important meeting and I'm sitting in a coffee shop and someone just tosses coffee on me. I have to go change my shirt. I can't go with the same coffee stained shirt, right? Samarth could have been in the same kind of a situation that day, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, so Samarth may not be a person who does it 10 minutes, does it in 10 minutes. Maybe he is a person who takes about half an hour and 45 minutes, like he admitted. But many of us do it in 10 minutes. I get into a shop. I'm very, I know exactly what color I want. I go to that row, I pick up that. I just need to make sure I have the right size. That might take a little while, but I'm so super fast with shopping. I'm really not a person who will say, okay, I want to see that, I want to see this. And it is good. A lot of you could be, who will be looking at different things, wanting to figure out which suits you, what doesn't suit you. And a lot of you must be going with your friends. Is that also right? Will you be going with your family or friends? Is that also right? The ones who cannot do it in 10 minutes, all of you? Will you have your partners or friends or family with you? Yes? Yeah. Puneet, I thought you were the quick one. Okay, friends. Likit says friends. Okay. All right. so yes, but the fast ones usually are lone shoppers. Oh, you help others. Okay. Uh, oh, shopping is a family affair. Nice. Okay, that's nice. Okay. So people who are quick, right, are very lone shoppers. They immediately go, they pick up, and they come back. Right? They're very decisive. Again, a trait. Now, okay, one more. A couple of more questions. Okay, I hope you're liking this. I hope you're enjoying it till now. Yes. Give me a yes or a thumbs up on the Zoom. I'd like to hear that. Okay. All right. So let's okay. Let's say another situation. Okay. You're in a party. Okay. Unfortunately, COVID happened, and I'm sure you guys, otherwise, you guys would have had a lot of parties. The bar scene is open right now, so maybe some of you can hit the bar, but I would still say caution, don't go. But I'm just saying, all of you, if you are looking at, partying, if that's the situation, a social gathering, let's not say party, social gathering, right? In a social gathering, how many of you, okay, are which ones of you, and you can figure out from my voice, which one of you is the loudest? Say me. Like, your voice is audible, even in loud music going at the background, your voice is really audible. How many of you are good in kind of using your volume? Give me a me, come on. Okay, Girish. Girish is good with that. Okay, nice. All right. Only Girish is good here? Okay, Rohini says not me. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Give me a me for everyone who is good with their voice. Okay, Likit says I'm not good. Okay. All right. Spurti is me. Hema is me. Nidhi says me. Divishri says me. Swaroop also says me. Okay, nice. All right. For the ones who are loud, congratulations. But you also have a pain in throat by the end of that party. So yes, using volume and loving that energy. Okay, you can and not you can not notice. Okay, I like that. Okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. So quite like, okay, quite like, you cannot not notice me. All right. So again, that is again a trait. It's a beautiful trait. It's a trait which calls for energy, which it's a trait which kind of centers everyone's energy. We people who are the loudest in the gang are the people who make attention come to them. We like the spotlight. We love to be the center of attention. We love conversations around us. Tell me yes on the chat if that's true. No? Oh, come on. Right. Okay. I see she saying that no, but she's the loudest, and she says she cannot be not noticed. So that is quite not the okay. Afshi, do you want to unmute yourself and tell me why? But everyone else says yes.
Well, I just look like I am an extrovert, but internally I'm an introvert. I just like pose as an extrovert. So that's what happens with me.
No, not a problem. So we, all of us, okay, they're very good. You pointed it out. We are all the ones who are loud in the parties are the people who are extroverted. We are people who are extremely enthusiastic, a lot of energy movers, and we love energy from the others. And Afshi, if you're saying that, I look like one, but I'm more introverted, then that's very simply ambivert. Okay, when you are in a comfortable situation with people and you blend with and you have a rapport, I'm sure you're the loudest. But if you are in a place where you know of no one, okay, you could possibly be the most observant silent person, and you will take off when you've created a rapport. Am I talking to you, Afshi? Is that you?
Ma'am, actually, I'm kind of person who doesn't talk unless you ask me, and otherwise, I'm a very opinionated person. So other than that, I don't speak much. Though when I speak,
all right,
I tend to talk.
And tend to make the point.
Yes.
Yeah. And you tend to make sure that everyone is listening to you, making note of what you are saying, and making sure that the opinion or
what happens with me is basically, even though I don't make sure that everyone
So
looks at me, but it tends to happen that way, the way I interact. Hello? Ma'am?
I'm not able to hear you, but yeah, go on. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am?
I'm
a kind of person, ma'am, I'm a kind of person who, even though it doesn't want to make everyone conscious of her, I tend to do it with the way I interact. I use a lot of hand gestures, for instance, when I talk. My body talks with me, I can say in that way. So
that's a beautiful way to say.
So that is eventually what happens, I guess, makes people make notice of me in one way.
Not a problem. Okay. So thanks, Afshi. That's a very important thing to probably talk about. So when you all so what Afshi is talking about is the fact that her body is congruent to what she says. And so you can see me. I use a lot of my hands. I use a lot of my facial expression, and it's very evident as to what I feel is on my face, right? A lot of us are like that. And so this is again a trait, and it's a beautiful trait, and it helps in a lot of ways in actually making a choice of your career. Now, last question for the block before we move on. Okay, last question. Now, I want you to answer just this. Like, let's say you have to you are in a situation where you have to make let's say you have to make a decision. Okay, how many of you, okay, and this is for anyone to answer, how many of you believe that your gut is giving the right answer, which might be contrast to what the facts are probably revealing, but you believe your gut, and you think by your gut? How many of you think your gut is giving the answer out? Puneet says yes. Okay, interesting. Okay, Likit also says gut. Okay, interesting. Okay, all right. Girish says gut. Okay, all right, interesting. Okay, Suman. Okay, Kirti. Oh, a lot of you are saying yes. Interesting. Now, I mean, depends on the situation. Afshi says and stakes. Okay, yeah, agreed. But let's say Afshi, for example, there is a lot of information out there. Okay, but the information points at a particular direction, and it says, okay, that is what is evident to happen. But does your gut churn at that time, and does it say, maybe not? Maybe the trend says blah blah blah, but my gut says right opposite. Does your gut say something when everything is pointing to one direction? Does it happen? I'm talking about a situation where this might happen.
Now,
yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Basically, the situation, as in you have expertise on certain technology, and the information which is brought to you says no, there's another situation which may be a better go for it. But your expertise or your experience, your gut feeling in that sense points you in another direction. Then I would say, yeah, I'll go with my gut feeling rather than the info.
Yeah, so yes, the gut works, but you're a very you weigh things out before you actually speak out from the gut. So you still use your facts to probably make your arguments. Do I say that? Is that normally you use facts to argue it better?
I'm analytic in my thinking. I don't think with emotions. I think with what is there for me.
True. Okay, so that differentiates from a person who's more gut speaking, right? Someone who speaks from the gut is though analytical, but not analytical in terms of facts and figures and what is there right in front. The person who's using gut probably is using gut out of real intuition, right? So here is where I'm going to stop and let you know that these are different traits that we were talking about. They are descriptions and preferences of each one of you, and you all have different kinds of preferences, and each of these preferences actually create a personality, and the personality creates a need for that personality to bloom, right? And that need comes from the career choice. So whenever you are out there looking for a career, there could be all of this, the numerous career choices that you see on your slide right now. You could see numerous ones out there. You could possibly be someone who would say, point out in one and say, this is something that I would be interested in. Maybe management, maybe law enforcement, maybe technical fields, maybe research, maybe someone who's more inclined towards education, someone who is very artistic, someone who likes music. So you could be a lot of this. Sometimes you might check different things in different boxes. Now that is where you have to identify which one of this do I want to pick up. Where does all of my skill point into? Now, how do I identify with my skill? That's the most important thing. Skill comes from how you prefer to do things. Okay, how are you doing things? How are you being projected? How do other people perceive you? These are the three things that identify your competency. How are you doing things? How are you being projected? How are the other people looking at you? These are the three things which will help you identify what your preferences are. For example, let me give you a very simple example, right? I'll take my own because it's easier for me to kind of look at it. Um, as a personality, I like to have an agenda, right? I'd like to have something that can possibly be read behind, but I'm more fluent in conversation. Okay. I'm more fluent when I have my participants talking to me. I like it when there is a two-way communication, even if that communication means it's on the chat, right? Though there is like 10 slides in it in the presentation, but I might just not be a person who would stick to the slides. I might be a person who would be just doing the conversation with you and still be able to do justice to what is to be covered. So when I look at my preference is communication. My preference is to work with people and work with them individually or in a group, but I'd like some kind of exchange. Okay, and that is most important for me. So if I'm a person who loves exchange, who likes to probably be in conversation, who likes to be also the person who helps other people, then their education seems to be a very simple space where I could possibly do great. Right? Training could be a space that I can be. Management could be a space I can be. I can be in administration because these are spaces where you need constant interaction with others. Right? Knowing what your preferences are will help in defining your career. Okay, now I'm going to let's not look at this particular situation, but I'm just going to, what we discussed a little earlier was this. So I'm going to just try and explain this to you more in detail. So when I say that people who are the loudest in a party or a person who probably brings in a lot of energy into the party is a person who's an extrovert. An extrovert is a person, an extrovert is a person, sorry, is a person who probably is very dependent. Okay, there are things that he is dependent on. An extrovert is dependent on people. An extrovert is dependent on conversation. An extrovert enjoys, being the center of attention. All right. An extrovert, not always, I wouldn't say, But yeah, most of the times, at least with the people he knows, she knows, they would like to be the person who's making or taking decisions, right? But also, there are a lot of other things that the extrovert is interested in. The extrovert is interested in quick decisions. The extrovert is interested in, an extrovert is interested in multitasking, right? Like right opposite, or could I say something's a contrast in terms of an introvert. An introvert, on the other hand, often is a person uh, who stays, like, who does, I wouldn't say stays indoors, is a person who's more to himself. He's not a conversational person. Like Afshi mentioned, could be a person who would possibly make conversation if someone approached the person to make that conversation, would make, would prefer to probably do things to by themselves, right? Now, people who are, so there are 8 different traits. If you see that, there are 8 different traits. Now, how does that help? How does it help in identifying? I'm just going to do with extroverts and introverts, because too much of that will probably just go into a larger vacuum, and I don't want to do that, because what is the time? Yeah, we're at 11:40. I want to make sure I have enough time for you to tell me. All right. So when it comes to an extrovert and introvert, you are a person who's more communicative. You are a person who's more enthusiastic. You absorb energy from outside, then you are extroverted. You observe energy from inside, then you're introverted. If you're a person who analyzes problems based on facts and figures, then you are a person who is a sensing person. If you're a person who uses gut, like the question I asked, then you are a person who's intuitive, right? If your decision making is quick, right? It's 10 minutes of shopping, then you're a judging personality. If your decision making takes a little longer, you have open, you do not have so you do not opinionate something, you do not probably have a specification on something, you are open to choices, you have many more, you take leverage of the situation, you do not confine it to one space, then you are a perceiving person. Okay. Also, like I said, people who cry during the movies. Now, you could be a very simple feeler, a feeler who thinks by the heart, right? And a person otherwise could be a rational person, a very a pros and cons kind of a personality. It says, okay, this is the benefit, this is the disadvantage. If the benefit overweighs the disadvantage, then I will go for it. If the disadvantage overweighs the advantage, then I will not go for it. So it's very simple. It's a very simple decision to make. Whatever it benefits, yes. Whatever does not benefit, no. Emotional, on the other hand, will not look at the pros and cons. Will look at what is important. How does he feel about it, and how does that thing make him feel, or the person make him feel, and go by that feeling, right? So it is slightly different between those 2 traits. So very simple analogy for that would be this, right? An extrovert, I'll just take one simple example, like Afshi mentioned. If there is a necessary conversation, I will make it. If there is no conversation, I may not make it. But extroverts like me need conversations, right? Complete opposites. See, Afshi said, I will do it when I need to do it, but I need conversations, right? So that's the difference between the two of us. I'm just taking Afshi's name because we spoke a lot, right? But most of us are ambiverts. Like we are, like I mentioned, I'm an introverted person. If I have to be in a space where I know of no one, okay, I know no one in that particular in that particular conference. I'm the only person in that conference, and I don't have a team member. I do not have a pal. I do not have anyone familiar, and I have to familiarize with these people. The initial first half an hour is a very introverted me, observing, tactically looking, finding out whom I can make a conversation, who's got a smile on the face, whom can I approach, who looks my age. All of this is an observation that I would be doing before I get extroverted. So all of us have that ability to be extroverted and introverted, and the situation demands us to be that way, and the people demand us to be that way. So it really depends on the situation and the people. So I'm going to repeat myself and reiterate. You could identify with being an extrovert or an introvert. You could identify by being a person who's a feeler or thinker, but doesn't define you there. That describes most of the time of you. But it could mean that you could move the needle to the other side, and you could become more fact oriented, more extroverted, more thinker. It can happen, right? That is where the situation plays a bigger role. That is where the people play a bigger role. But very important is that this helps you prefer a particular personality. Understanding will help you prefer a career that you would like. An extroverted person will want to probably be the head of the meeting. An introverted person could be the person behind the scenes. Okay, it is very, very natural for them to be that way. So you have to dig inside and introspect and identify, what is it that I am displaying? What do I choose to be? If I am an intuitive person, then I should be more in the research because I like possibilities. But if I am sensing person, I like to be in the facts. So I'm an analyst. I like to probably sit down and crunch numbers. If I'm a person who is good at judging people, then I should be, doing something relative to making decisions in the management role. If I'm a perceiving person who is not who will not arrive at a judgment immediately, but perceiving persons will be people who can who have a larger heart. So these kind of people will be great at coaching others, mentoring others, helping others succeed, right? So they should look at a job which is more on those fronts. If I'm a person who's a thinker, a strong thinker, who probably will rational everything, then I should be in a role which is an advisory role because I'm rational. Okay, I'm good at that. If I'm an emotional person, then I should possibly look at something which is more emotional need, which is an advertising space, a space which is into making things look beautiful, photography, choreography. Those are areas that feelers can excel in. Okay, if I'm an extrovert, like I said, I should possibly be someone who can make conversations, who will make conversations happen, who is ahead of something, who is consulted. So that's the role I have chosen, right? But if I'm an introverted person, I'd like to probably sit behind the computer and do something that is very, very, very constructive, very useful, but which is me, right? I'd like to probably position only me. So you have to identify, what is your personality? How does this combination work? When it all sinks in, what is my strength? What does that strength suggest as a career? And and making sure that that suggestion is something that you prefer, you should pick up on those. So don't confine yourself to anything that would say that would be your degree. Don't confine yourself to anything that would possibly make you feel that this is what I have done in my education, and thus this is the role that I should pick up. Don't confine yourself. You're still in the space to make a choice, make a choice. You should be able to do that more diligently right now. Deliberate on these choices. These are combinations, and these are some things that your combinations talk about. I said that I am an ENFP, which is right in the middle. If you see, it says campaigner. Okay, I'm an expressive advocate. So basically, if I have an opinion and I'm strong at it, I will go with placard and stand in dharnas and strikes. Okay, that's someone like me. Okay, I can see smiles. I mean, I can at least I visualize smiles right now. Okay, I'm very, very creative. I'm very sociable. I mean, that's the very reason that many of you could actually get conversant with me, can talk to me, right? You could possibly be, you were easy with that conversation with me, is because my personality throws across that kind of a combination. So I'm great at socializing. I'm extremely good with advocating on something. I'm extremely good at coaching and mentoring someone. I'm also, I'm an extrovert, so I'm great at events and hosting and conversations, basically. So that probably is my personality, and what I chose to use that personality type to is to become a coach, is to be the person who helps people to identify what is good and how do they probably pick up on that particular areas and work on those areas. If there is a weakness, how do they reinvent themselves? These are things that I do, and I do not look at one particular way of doing things because I'm intuitive. I look at very creative things of coming up with different aspects, and that is what it allows me to do. So, guys, I am closing it right now. It's 11:46. My only submission to you is identify with your personality, identify with the true self of yours. Learn more about yourself. The more that you learn about yourself, the more that you would be happier in the choices of career that you're going to be choosing, and the more that you would possibly experiment with yourself. Identify where you will fit better, what will you do best at. So please, I urge all of you to kind of make sure that you identify with yourself, work with yourself, spend some time in knowing what you are. Things that you can do is, if you're not going, if you can do a psychometric assessment. That's something that you can do. You can also take feelers from other people as to how you are. What do they think about you? I told you those three things. How are you doing it? How are you projecting it? And how are the other people seeing you? Right? So these are the three things. How to inculcate desirable characteristics. Afshi, my pledge to you is that if you can be desirable for yourself, you're good to go. Okay. So are books dependable? Oh, books are always dependable, but depends on which kind of book you are reading. Okay. Can I suggest you some books? But I would like to know what kind of conversations you would like. Then I can suggest some books to you. You want a mixed bag? Okay. My favorites today that I'm reading today. Okay. And if you like reading things which are, do you like non-fiction or fiction? What do you like? Both? Okay. Okay. In fiction, I like Indian authors. Okay. So Indian authors, the best writers I can think of are, okay, depends on the author. Simply depends on the author. So Ravi Subramanian, extremely good at writing things which are analytical, which will be your choice, and extremely fast. Okay, it's a fast read. It's very analytical. It is very cognitive in terms of it kind of reaches your cognition because you have to visualize that picture. It's beautifully written. On the femin I mean, I'm saying it because I like this lady's writing. The female author that I like is Anita Nair. She is exceptionally good in fiction. I think Chains of Custody is one of her best writing. You should try and see. And Ravi Subramaniam's, I think, Bankruptcy is a great writing. You should try and read that. In non-fiction, I would say pick up books which are of Simon Sinek, James Clear, right? Guy Kawasaki. These guys make sense. They make sense because they speak out of relevance. They speak out of what is now. They speak about something that is going to be futuristic and not redundant. Guy Kawasaki, exceptionally good in telling you what will sell, what will not sell. He will tell you what exactly does it mean to probably choose the right things, and how do you choose. And he is a person who has consulted with organizations such as Apple, such as Canva. So he's a creative mind. He's worked with great organizations. So you should possibly look for his book. Simon Sinek, he's a legend. He's someone I worship. Okay. I think that's the only God I have. Right. He has written some really sensible books. I think all of those books make a lot of sense. And James Clear, he is the newest author on my on my blog, and his book on atomic habits is a mind-blowing read. It helps in a lot many ways, and with pandemic and everything where you have to discipline yourself, atomic habits will be a great read. Okay, any questions, guys? Afshi, are we good? Right, any questions? People, unmute yourself and speak to me. Come on, I'd like to hear you guys.
Excuse me, ma'am. I wanted to ask about how, like you told, desirable characteristics for your own self should be what you should look for. But as every characteristic has their own pros and cons, and depending on for situation, you are a teacher, you need to be an extrovert, you need to get at people's feedback and be good with that. Now, as each job has its own desirable characteristics, how to inculcate that and to know what is expected from you.
Okay. So one is to first identify with what do you know of yourself. Okay. How much, so when you know of yourself, like for example, if you know that you have you can make conversations, but it's only when someone approaches you that you will make a conversation. All right. And you also mentioned that you're very opinionated about certain things. So when these two have strength and areas of improvement. Okay, what is the strength? The strength is that you're conversant. The strength is that you have a great opinion, but the opinion also is backed with the opinion is also backed with a lot of facts. So you are very good at reasoning out. You're extremely good at conversations. But what is the area of weakness or area of improvement? You will make conversation if someone approached you. Now, how does someone approach you, right? It really is difficult to kind of define. So if I need to be someone who is approached by everyone, my demeanor should actually give away that. My body should actually give away that. It should give away that aura and vibe that people should come over and say, "Hi, Afshi, how are you doing today? You know what? I wanted to talk to you about blah, 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 blah." Right? So that's your area of improvement, where you should be approachable. You should be able to let everyone approach you. You have to cut down your circle to a smaller width. You have a very big circle around you, right? And when it comes to opinions, awesome, lovely. I love people who have opinions because it's difficult for me. But having strong opinions and reasoning those opinions are great, but also allowing others to disagree about those opinions and having their own thought of, trail of thought is very, very important. And having that in a mutual way and saying, you know what, well, you can agree or disagree to me. I'm sure you have your own reasons to disagree, and I truly trust those reasons are very valid. To be able to say that very genuinely is also something that you need to improve on, right? So those things are, you when you know yourself, you know that there is one strong point in it, one area of improvement. I need to figure out how to get that area of improvement out and make it my strong area. Have I answered your question, Afshi?
Yes, ma'am. You
Okay,
did.
lovely. Any other question, guys? Thank you so much, Afshi. Very good question there. Any other question? Anyone? The more that you know about yourself, the more that you will be able to work with yourself. And loving yourself is very, very important to people, for the good and the bad. Okay, I'm probably looking at all the participants here, so I'm going to ask each one of you if you have anything. Um, Puneet, you've been a very, very enthusiastic emoji person, so I'd like to probably ask you, what is it that you want to ask? If you have, if you want to ask or if you want to tell something, go ahead. If you can unmute yourself and speak to me, Puneet, I'd like to hear you. Likit, I'd like to hear you. Kirti, I'd like to hear you. Girish, one more enthusiastic person on the block, please unmute yourself and speak to me. Samarth, you did. I want you to speak again. Divyashri, you can. Nidhi, you can. If you're all here, I'd like you guys to speak to me. Any questions, guys? Anything at all? We have the last 4 minutes for that. Any questions? Anyone? Okay. How to, okay, I think I've answered that question. That's Afshi's question. Okay. All right, then I think I'm going to say, I'm going to wait for the next 2-3 minutes. And Vinod, do you have any questions? I'm going to ask, let me see if you have any.
No, ma'am, I don't have any questions.
Okay, all right, okay. So I think yeah, someone, Afshi, go on.
Do you think I'm brassed in my way of speaking? I just want to know that.
No,
Like,
you're not. You're not.
because
See,
sometimes people say that, like, they think that I don't care what others think or feel, and I'm just like self-centered person. Though I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm always looking at people's reaction. What's your facial expression? Am I even understood by them or what?
okay, okay. So, okay, so now that is not because you, okay, let me say a couple of things about that. Number one, it's very difficult in the Indian demography for people, and if my partner is around, she would agree with me. In the Indian demography, to be very assertive, very to the point, very straightforward. Uh, People who are straightforward, call the spade, are very, very clear and toned correct, and they say, I don't like it, or they say I don't like it as I don't like it, or they say no in a very stern voice, is not something that an Indian demography is very used to, right? We are not used to that. We are used to the passive aggressive way of doing things, and believe me or not, even now sometimes my passive aggressive takes over me. But I'm just giving you a very simple thing, right? For example, let's say someone has to say a no, does not directly say a no. They will go ahead and say, you know what, I don't know if I want to do it. I'm not sure. I'm not keeping well. I'm feeling a little too tired. Also, all sorts of reasons will come in. But then they won't directly say a no. But Afshi, you're a person who would directly say a no. Okay, so being blunt certain times is taken as being brash, but being blunt means to say speaking your mind. All that I would suggest you to do is maybe when you're saying a no, right, put on a smile, say sorry, no, right? When you say that with a no and a sorry and a reason, say sorry, no, I have something else that I need to take care of, I can't do this for you. Now, the voice, the tonality, the words that happen after the no actually will make the other person not think of you as brash, not think of you as blunt, think of you as a rational person who gives out the reason. Did you get it, Afshi?
I'll tell you what happens with me on an everyday basis. Like, I'm a person, if a teacher asks a question, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
most fastest to reply at it. And that's what happens. Like, you let others
Good.
talk too. That's basically like, people think that I'm stealing the spotlight or something. It's like, be quicker or be more talkative. Take over me. Come on. That's what happens with me. And even now, when I'm talking to you, I know I'm the most talkative person here, and others are
So,
silent. So I'm thinking that I'm stealing their time with you. It's like
no.
that's what's going on in my back of my mind.
No, actually, you shouldn't be thinking that way because I did answer your question. I did ask a lot of others to ask their questions. They have not attempted to ask their questions. I mean, some people bloom a little late, but you are a very early bloomer. You take to conversations very quickly. That's your, you give credit to yourself for that. You do really well in it. I think that is one of your best qualities. You take away the limelight because you're quick at taking opportunities. I think people should learn that from you. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I see that as an opportunity, and I see that as an opportunity lost for the others, right? But I'm sure they also learn from it. They also will identify with it. They also know that, even while you're asking these questions, a lot of them are getting their answers as well. Maybe they shy away from asking those questions, but they probably are wanting to ask those questions. You're absolutely right, ma'am. Do not blame yourself if she is saying that. Look at that. Puneet mentioned it on the chat. So it is important to identify that that's your way of picking on opportunities, right? It's very important. There could be a handful of them who could possibly feel, left behind, but most of them will be thankful that you're asking those questions, Puneet, by himself, because those are possible questions that they have in their mind too, and they've not been able to articulate it as much as you could. So that is also important to identify. So you're doing them a favor, basically.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Thanks, Puneet. That's very sweet of you. Really, very, very sweet of you. And I think, it's very important to appreciate. And that comes from a person. It helps the other person to take that to the credit. So very nice of you, Puneet. Thank you so much. That's another trait. That's a beautiful trait of being accommodated. Right. Thank you, guys. You've been absolutely brilliant. You, though a quiet audience, most of you, but I think you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up or a yes on the chat to let me know that you enjoyed it with me. And thank you, thank you so much for being today on the session. It's been absolutely pleasure. Talking to all of you young minds here. If you want to know more, you want to learn more about yourself, try and dig a little more about your own personality. I would suggest it's a good idea to do that. Try and figure out what is your preference and look for your career which is in your preference. If you need more, I'm going to be available very sure and very shortly, where I will help you with identifying your personality, also helping you counsel what is it that you should be choosing for your career in going forward. Okay. Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you, Preeti. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the Sunday. Have a great year, the rest of the year. And please be safe. Thank you so much.